You're in the rant hole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get your own rant by becoming one of those people. This one was at the request of Verdestrom. He says, rant about how viewers sometimes consume anime reviews or reviews in general, top 10 lists especially, not out of interest in the review itself, but instead as a means of seeking validation for the things they like. This is kind of you have to unpack a lot in this particular comment because I think that there's a lot of reasons to watch reviews and top tens. And regardless of, like, when you say seeking validation, it just makes it seem very, like, gross, you know? But, like, I do think that just seeing what other people think, like, what other people would list, validating or not, it's nice to be able to compare yourself against other people to, like, see what, how does your taste stack up against theirs? And then, like, if you hear their reasoning, you might think, okay, well, this guy is also right. Or you might think, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, I love fucking reviews and favorites lists. Like, I consume an absurd amount of that kind of shit, and I always have, because, like, I grew up with, I grew up as a kid with Nintendo Power magazine, where they had, like, they would list the ratings that they gave every single game in the back of the magazine. So you had, like, whatever Nintendo Power's opinion is, you, like, on everything, you could compare it all against each other. And you could say, in Nintendo Power's opinion, Ocarina of Time is the greatest game ever made, followed by Perfect Dark, followed by this and that and whatever, And then you could think about your favorites and, like, how does that stack up against what Nintendo Power says, and, like, and then when you understand the relationship of your tastes versus theirs, then that's when you get the ability to, like, just look at a review score and you maybe can understand something about the movie immediately, Like, if YMS, Your Movie Sucks, gives a movie a 9 out of 10, there's a lot of things I can assume about that movie right out the gate based on his taste. That, like, there are certain mistakes I know it's not going to make because he would take off points if it made that mistake. Like, there's a lot of things that I know, like, I just have such confidence that I know what he likes and doesn't like, that, like, if he gives something an ultra low score, like, there's certain qualities I can probably say it doesn't have, So, like, maybe if he gives something a 6, it's a lot more difficult to understand, just from seeing the score, what he did or didn't like about it, or how that might relate to my tastes. So I'm not saying that this is, like, you would just eventually become able to just look at the scores and nothing else. But, like, you might look at the score and then decide if you're going to read the review or not on the basis of the score and, like, how interested you are in hearing that person's opinion about that thing on the basis of what they scored it. Like, for instance, there are some times where I will avoid an Anthony Fantano review for an album that I haven't heard yet if it's, like, one that I kind of care about, because his opinions will tend to color my experience. And sometimes, like, there were times where I just looked at his score and, like, his favorite and least favorite songs, And then, like, I will always think about, when I listen to the album, the fact that Fantano listed that as his least favorite song and, like, whether or not I agree with him, Like, there are songs that every time it comes on, I'm like, Fantano was right. This really is least fave song, Or, Fantano, how could he list this as least fave song? This is one of my favorite songs on the album, So, like, now I try to avoid it entirely until I've heard the album and, like, a few times and formed my own opinions, and then I'll go and look at his, and I'll probably look at the score before I even watch the review just to brace myself to know, like, how strongly am I going to agree or disagree with the things I'm about to hear, like, brace myself for impact, and then, listen to the video and see how his judgments compare to mine, and if there was anything that I felt was, like, fucky or a miss, then I will explain it in my own video or my, in a tweet or something, or maybe a comment. I wouldn't comment on his video because his comment section is dog shit. But you know. So what the fuck am I ranting about here? People looking at it as a means of validation for things they like. Yeah, I mean, it feels good to see other people like enjoy the same things you like. Like if I watch a top 10 video and it has some of my favorite shows on there, I'm going to be like, this guy is a cool guy. You know, like this guy gets it cuz he clearly thinks similarly to me. Like a lot, like I think that the trap people fall into when they try to look at ratings like as something objective, or that there's some kind of like you know, consensus that we can reach about what is good or bad. Like those people are really missing out on the fact that, like, what does that say about you as a consumer to like something because it's good? Like just that you are, I don't know, a good citizen. Like you're good at being you know, seen as correct by as many people as possible. Like, I don't really know. I don't know what you get out of watching things because they are supposedly good. However, if there's somebody who you feel you resonate with their person, like you enjoy what you enjoy because it says something about you, and they enjoy the same things, then that says something about them too. And so you can form a connection over that. And like, you know, a lot of the people who I'm friends with, or people who I surround myself with, are people who have very similar tastes to me. You may have noticed, for instance, like me and May very rarely have like strong disagreements about anything we watch on Finish or Fail. Like we almost always are at least in the same category of either enjoyed or did not enjoy. Almost never do the scores diverge more than a point or two. And the reason for that is that, like, you know, to have the same taste as me is not a matter of having good taste. Like, I don't think many people would argue I have good taste. It's that you must feel the same way I do, you know, in order to have enjoyed the same shows. And that's why I knew that we could, you know, not that I like dated her on the basis of her favorites list or anything, but like, you know, I knew some of those things going in as we were starting our relationship, and it made me feel more like confident about the possibility of it working out, because you know, I could relate that strongly to like what I like and don't like. So yeah, I think there's a lot of power in feeling the validation of seeing someone else feel the same way as you about something, and feeling like I'm not insane and there's other people who think like me. And you know, I know that's a powerful thing I offer with my videos. um, so like, I do think that it's cancerous when people go into a video seeking validation, don't get it, and then bitch about it. Like people who are who like want the product to always be made for them, you know? Like they always want that when you do a review it's going to be their opinion, because they don't understand that there is no one critic who you should be listening to for everything. Like you should be finding a critic who feels the way you feel, or at least, like, you know, getting a sense, like, whether a critic is good or not depends on how good of a writer they are, not what they like or don't like, you know. You can have somebody with a totally opposite taste of you, but if they write well enough that you can understand exactly how you will feel about the thing through their writing, then, you know, and if they have like a taste that is coherent enough that you can do that, you know, that's what's more important than them presenting your, like, you know, every conceivable angle on the subject, or like you know, being as objective as possible. Anyway, that's it for that rant, I guess.